So here's the thing, when it comes to making a movie, there are good film shoots, there are bad film shoots, and then there are ones that you read about and you just think to yourself, there's no way insurance signed off on this. So today we're going to be ranking 6 movie sets that went so spectacularly off the rails that it's honestly impressive that the movie exists at all. And we're going to be starting with a man who treats reasonable filmmaking as a personal insult. Number 6, Fitzcarraldo, 1982. You see this man? This man right here? This is Werner Herzog. He's a German filmmaker, actor, opera director, and honestly one of the most interesting people you'll ever read about. And he's also completely f***ing insane.
The enormity of their stupidity is just overwhelming.
Also, my wife and I follow him on Instagram, so, go do that. Anyway, just to give you guys some kind of idea of what we're dealing with here, I'm going to tell you guys a few fun facts about this man. I mean, first off, he stole a 35mm camera from film school, and he called it expropriation. He once walked from Munich to Paris because he believed that the act of walking would save a dying friend. He also ate his own shoe to honor a bet, no further questions. And during a BBC interview in 2006, he was shot with an air rifle mid-conversation and just said, "It is not a significant bullet." What a legend. So when he set out to make the movie Fitzcarraldo, or for fun I'm going to call it Fitzcarraldo, I don't know why I put so much mustard on that, I'm sorry. But anyway, it's a movie about a man who's obsessed with building an opera house in the Amazon, and for one particular scene, they needed to drag a steamship over a mountain in the Peruvian jungle. Now, typically a director would use something like miniatures or now CGI to accomplish this, but as we've already learned, Werner Herzog is not exactly your average director. With that being said, he absolutely refused to fake this and decided instead that he would build an entire system of pulleys and use good old-fashioned manpower to haul a 320-ton steamship over a fucking muddy jungle incline. No models, no trick photography, nope, 100% real. Now I'm sure at this point you're sitting there thinking, okay, so they did one crazy thing. It's not that bad of a film shoot, right? Well, actually, here's where it gets worse. The jungle wrecked the equipment, crew members got sick, there were countless injuries, production shut down and restarted multiple times, and actually the original lead actor, who was Jason Roberts? I don't know how you say it. Well, either way, he got dysentery and had to leave the film, so in walked his replacement, Klaus Kinski, and oh my god, he already had a bit of a reputation, but this time, I don't know what went wrong, but it was like drinking turpentine and pissing on a brush fire, like it was that bad. He was volatile, he was explosive, and reportedly, he was so difficult to work with that some of the locals actually offered to kill him. Fortunately for him, Herzog declined because he said that he needed that performance, and the result, I mean, was it worth it? I don't know, the movie exists. The ship actually goes over the mountain, and it looks insane because it was insane. I don't know if that makes it worth it, but either way, they had a creative vision and they stuck to it.
The birds are in misery. I don't think they sing, they just screech in pain.
It wasn't like this was incompetence, this was actually just controlled madness, which is more than I can say for the next one. Number 5, Waterworld, 1995. Now we move on from artistic insanity to ocean-based humiliation. Now, if you guys are even slightly familiar with the history of film, you know all about Waterworld, so I'll keep it as brief as possible. Waterworld was supposed to be this huge blockbuster spectacle. Universal built enormous floating sets off the coast of Hawaii. It was going to be this huge spectacle, and then the ocean reminded them who was in charge. Mostly by flooding the sets and causing them to sink. Multiple times. And it's not even like the weather gave them some kind of relief. I mean, one storm was so bad and destroyed so much crap that they had to balloon the budget up to like $175 million, which in the mid-90s was absurd. At the time, it was one of the most expensive movies ever made, and this should be no surprise, as everyone knows and everyone tried to warn Kevin Costner and director Kevin Reynolds that, hey, filming on water really sucks. But they didn't listen to their critics, or each other actually. I mean, they fought so much that the director actually left before post-production was even done. There were all kinds of safety concerns, a stunt performer nearly drowned, Costner himself almost drowned. The media had a field day. I mean, the narrative became that this was Hollywood excess at its dumbest, and to be fair, yeah, it kinda was. Number 4, Roar, 1981. Now, I'm going to be honest with y'all, this one feels illegal. Roar was conceived as some kind of family adventure film, and it was going to star Tippi Hedren and Melanie Griffith, so far, so good. Then joining them on the set would be an assortment of 100 real lions, tigers, and other big cats. And shockingly, over the course of filming, more than 70 cast and crew members were injured. In fact, Melanie Griffith needed facial reconstruction surgery after being mauled, the cinematographer was attacked and required over 120 stitches, and the director was partially scalped. Watching this movie today kind of feels like you're watching a snuff documentary, but one where everybody survives, so I guess not a snuff documentary. But either way, the crazy thing about this film was that, hey, they actually finished it somehow, some way. I don't know how. The first time that I got my fat ass bit by a lion or a tiger, I'm leaving. But either way, everybody involved stayed professional and they finished the film. Now, was it worth it? I think you know the answer to that. Number 3, Heaven's Gate, 1980. After The Deer Hunter, which is a movie that I think everybody should watch, seriously stop what you're doing now and go watch it, director Michael Cimino was given near total creative control for the new film Heaven's Gate. And he used it like a man who was convinced that perfection somehow required suffering because, oh my god. He demanded an absurd number of takes, entire sets were built, torn down and rebuilt because they didn't, quote, feel authentic enough. Extras were kept waiting for hours in their costumes, which definitely did not breathe. Crew morale plummeted, and the budget ballooned from $12 million to roughly $44 million, which that's a freaking huge number for 1980. And when the film premiered, it was critically savaged and commercially obliterated. United Artists, who was the studio that was backing it, absolutely collapsed under the financial weight. In fact, the fallout effectively ended the New Hollywood era, where directors had been granted extraordinary creative freedom all throughout the 1970s. Just like that, one film, one implosion, industry-wide consequences. That is a whole different level of chaos. Number 2, The Island of Dr. Moreau, 1996. If Heaven's Gate was slow, spiraling, controlled loss, then Dr. Moreau was immediate bedlam. The original director, Richard Stanley, was fired days into the production because he got into some kind of argument with the studios. They replaced him with new director John Frankenheimer, which, that is a fun name, Frankenheimer. Well, either way, he inherited a nightmare. And then there was Marlon Brando. Oh my god. Brando showed up, overweight, uninterested, and allegedly unfamiliar with the script. He wore an ice bucket on his head during scenes to, quote, stay cool, and demanded his lines be fed to him through an earpiece, which, why? In fact, at one point, the original director who got fired, he somehow snuck back on set disguised as an extra just because he wanted to watch the disaster, and I respect that level of pettiness. There's actually a documentary called Lost Soul that details his entire production. I recommend y'all go watch it, but somehow it still feels exaggerated. Number 1, Apocalypse Now, 1979. Ah yes, how could it be anything else? This is the gold standard. Filming was supposed to last 6 weeks, and it lasted 16 months. There were typhoons that destroyed the entire sets. The Philippine military kept reclaiming helicopters mid-shoot to fight actual rebels, which means that production would just randomly lose aircraft for hours with no guarantee of getting them back whatsoever. And things didn't fare much better for the actors. I mean, Martin Sheen had a real heart attack during filming. And Marlon Brando arrived overweight, uninterested, and allegedly unfamiliar with the script, which, that kind of sounds familiar. Francis Ford Coppola had to rewrite and reframe entire sequences around him because he was that unprepared. At one point, Coppola had to mortgage his own assets to keep the production alive, and he later admitted that he actually considered killing himself during filming. When asked about Apocalypse Now, he's quoted as saying, "My film is not about Vietnam, it is Vietnam." And when you're watching the behind-the-scenes footage, you understand what he meant. All that chaos and uncertainty and anarchy and emotion, all of it just kind of bled into the film, and somehow out of all that madness, we got one of the greatest films ever made. Which is the strangest pattern in this entire ranking, because apparently if you combine enough stress, ego, danger, and financial recklessness, you either destroy a studio or you make a masterpiece. And just like any time a Targaryen is born, it's a coin flip. Unless you're Werner Herzog, and you would probably say something like,
"A coin does not flip, it simply shows you the side you are meant to see."
Okay, that sounds nothing like him, but you guys get the point. But yeah, those were 6 of my favorite examples of when movie shoots just go completely off the rails. Now, if you made it this far in the video, I just want to thank y'all for watching. This channel is growing kind of slowly, but it's getting there at a steady pace. Every little bit helps, every little bit of engagement helps, and I appreciate every view that I get. But anyways, I'm gonna get back to work on the next video. I want to thank all y'all for watching, so until then, hope y'all have a great rest of your weekend, okay? See ya!